And now let's go live to Caracas, Venezuela, where the Electoral Authority is set to offer the first preliminary results, official results of the country. This is the moment in which the authorities of the National Electoral Council of Venezuela are entering to the room, willing to offer the first bulletin of these regional and legislative elections in the country, a process and a democratic process that has been marked by a peaceful environment. Also, millions of Venezuelans took to the polling stations to exercise the right to vote in an attempt to defend the sovereignty of the nation, in an attempt to speak the truth about Venezuela, and also to defend the democratic process that Venezuela is taking care of since 2 decades ago. Let's recall that this is the 32nd election that Venezuela underscored under the Bolivarian Revolution. This would be the 32nd election in 26 years. Today, this is considered a mega election because 569 positions are at stake in this moment. Will be elected. These positions are divided into 285 national deputies, 260 regional legislators, and also 24 governors, one for each state. Let's recall that this is a historical moment for Venezuela because it's the first time in which the region of the Guyana Esequiba is also electing a governor as is the will of the Venezuelan people, who performed a referendum in which they decided that this is a process that needed to be done because this is an inalienable part of Venezuelan territory. This is the moment. At this hour, the authorities of the National Electoral Council are set to offer the first bulletin of the results, the first preliminary results of these mega elections that took place in a safe manner in spite of the threats, in spite of the calls of the far-right wing of the country to call for violence. Let's listen to the statements.
De este importante poder electoral, pero en especial al presidente del CNE, el doctor Elvis Amoroso.
Buenas noches.
Good evening. The National Electoral Council welcomes the declaration of President of the National Electoral Council, Elvis Amoroso, Dr. Elvis Amoroso, and the electoral authorities to give Venezuelans the results of the legislative and regional elections. So, greetings to the Venezuelan people and the world from here, from the headquarters of the National Electoral Council, the electoral power of Venezuela, one of the 5 powers that establishes the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. We feel profoundly proud of this day that has been carried out today and in previous days for an electoral process and a Venezuela that has so many states and municipalities, which is a very deepening work that we have to thank the officials of the National Electoral Council, likewise to the Bolivarian armed forces that have been present in each of these spaces in which the Venezuelan people asserted their right to vote today. We want to thank the international observers that are here today with us. We truly appreciate their presence and participation, and that be spokespersons of what you have been living in our dear homeland. You have participated in different technical activities that have been taken during these days, even today, in which you attended several polling stations and you just witnessed the electoral process to develop in entire normality, and mostly the peace of our country, the peace of Venezuela, that of course it's going to be an example for the world, for the whole world. The whole Venezuela is today at party. We have seen today, especially what has to do with the Esequibo, in which the people has, for the first time in history, a governor, man or woman, that have arrived by product of the will of the people, that of the expression of the people. The Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, the regulations of the electoral power, stipulate the way and the agenda to develop an electoral process as the one we have today. And so we thank our distinguished guests for being pending for their suggestions and for always supporting the National Electoral Council, the electoral power of Venezuela, where there is the best electoral system of the world. We are very proud of having it here in Venezuela. Venezuela is an example for the world, for the whole universe, for the whole Venezuela, that we have this system, that we can show the strength of the National Electoral Council. So on behalf of the authorities, men and women here present today, we really appreciate each of you, your assistance. The technical parts that have to do with the development of the electoral processes through the law and through what is the National Electoral Council, well, it holds the responsibility to the Electoral Board of Venezuela, which is made up of the Vice President Carlos Quintero, the authority Rosa, and authority Elvis Amoroso. And so we just are in charge of all the technical process of the elections, and so we will ask one of the representatives, which is the Vice President of the National Electoral Council, that informed the people of Venezuela and the whole universe which are the results that we have obtained today in this great party of elections, in which the people of Venezuela once again is the protagonist and the one who decides over the destiny of our dear Venezuela. I am going to give the floor to Dr. Carlos Quintero to provide us the information of the results that we have had so far in relation to this day, the electoral day of governors, men and women, national deputies, regional legislators. Thank you very much to you all for your presence and for your strength in defending what is the consolidation of democracy. So you've got the floor, Authority Carlos Quintero. Thank you, President. Good evening to the Venezuelan people, to the national and especially the international observers. The National Electoral Council informs the country that at this hour, being 11:40 p.m. with a transmission of the voting machines corresponding to 93.1% and a turnout of the 42.6% of voters active. We have that for the post of legislators, the Great Patriotic Poll obtains 4.5 million votes that corresponds to, and so the Democratic Alliance obtains 300 million that corresponds to 20. The Unique Alliance obtains 205 million votes, equivalent to 5.8% of the votes. La Fuerza Vecinal Alliance over 20 million votes that corresponds to equal to 2%. Other valid votes and voids are equal to 3.4% of the votes. Of the 50 posts to elect, it is just nominated 40 posts irreversible. Great Patriotic Poll, Jorge Jesus Rodríguez Gómez, Cilia Adela Flores de Maduro, María Iris Varela Rangel, Jesús Germán Farías Tortosa, Ángel Bautista Marcano Castillo, Jason José Guzmán Araque, María de Lourdes León y Bori, Luis Fernando Soto Rojas, Noelis Bocaterra Dubert, Hernán Eduardo Malavet, Francisco Javier Arias Cárdenas, William José Benavides Rondón y Armando Parra, María Rosa Jiménez Barreto, Jorge Arreaza Montserrat,
Desiree
Santos Amaral,
Vanessa
Munet Montero López,
Rosa Medina Carrasco,
Ilenia Rosa
Hidalgo Antonio Bolívar.
So he's mentioning all the
Wilmar Alfredo Castro Sotelo,
elected.
José Gregorio Bielma Mora, Juan Francisco Escalona Camargo, Maigualida Esther Barrera Morales, Nazarela Rojas Méndez, Ciro Vladimir León, Osvaldo Ramón Zamora Rivas, Will Ascensión Rangel Linares, Pedro Tomás Rangel Moreno, Gilberto Jesús Jiménez Prieto, Ivone del Carmen Ledesma Ron, José Antonio España Márquez, William Ramón Fariñas, Miguel Ángel Pérez Abad, inicia María Maldonado Maldonado. Por la Alianza Democrática.
So by the Democratic Alliance,
Gutiérrez Parra, Timoteo de Jesús Zambrano Guedes, Alfonso Enrique Campos Jesurún. Por la Alianza UNTC Única,
by the
Enrique
Única Alliance,
Radowski, Luis Emilio Rondón Hernández, Iván Stalin González Montaño. Asimismo,
likewise, in which it stipulates to the posts of governors of the 24 states of the country, it is stipulated that this hour the 24 posts irreversible posts of the Guayana Esequiba state with 66%
Partido
and with
Socialista Unido de Venezuela.
the United Party of the United Socialist Party, with a total of 4,020 that corresponds to 40% of the votes. The state Answati, with a turnout of 40.7%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, with a total of equals to 87% of the votes. And State Apure, with a participation of 78%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Wilber Arcángel Rodríguez Vélez, with a total of 119,000 votes, equals to 96% of the votes. Aragua State, with 95.4%, and the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Sanchez, with equals to 86.9% of the votes. Barinas State, with 91.7% and a participation of 99% of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Chávez Frías, with 72.45% of the votes. Bolivar State, with a transmission of 94% and of the, it is also the United Socialist Party of Venezuela. Ludisbeth Josefina García González, with over 121,000 of votes. Carabobo State, with a transmission of 96% and a participation of 33%. The Socialist Party of Venezuela, Rafael, with over 100,000 votes. Cojedes State, with a transmission of 93.4% and a participation of 70.5%. José Alberto Valíndez Corderos, with 70,001 votes. Falcón State, with a transmission of 93.6%, and the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Vito José Oscan, with 170,000 votes and more. And Guárico State, with a participation of 41.5%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Donald Rafael, with 150,028 votes. Lara State, with a transmission of 87% and participation 36%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, with 200,000 votes. Mérida State, with a transmission of 94.1%, with 31% participation. United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Arnaldo Javier Sánchez Pérez, with 110,000 votes, equals to 80.8% of the votes.
Estado Miranda,
Miranda
una
State,
transmisión
with
del
a transmission of
98,68%
98.6% and participation of 37%.
Partido Socialista
The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Elio José Serrano, Carpo,
452.748 votos,
400
3,20% del total.
with over 400,000 votes.
Con 98,50% de transmisión
Munaga
y una
State
participación del 51%,
and the participation of
Partido
551%,
Socialista
the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Ernesto Javier
González, con un
Luna
total de
González,
217.128
with
votos,
217,000
5%
votes, equals to 94% of the votes. Nueva Esparta State, with participation of 57.5% of voters. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Maricel del Valle Velázquez de Millán, with 81,322, corresponding to 55.3% of the votes. Portuguese State, with a participation of 48.7%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Antonio Primitivo Cedeño, with a total of 206,213 votes, 61% of the votes. Sucre State, with a transmission of 89% and participation of 59%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Joana Gabriela Malavet, with 261,849 votes, equals to 49% of the votes. Táchira State, with a transmission of 96.2% and a turnout of 96.2%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Freddy Alirio Fernando Sales, with 325,000 votes. Trujillo State, with a transmission of 90.92%, and the Socialist Party of Venezuela, Geraldo Alfredo Marquez, with 104,000 votes. Yaracuy State, with a transmission of 91.3% and a participation of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Leonardo Gabriel Cipullo, with 106,000 votes. Zulia State, with the transmission of 97 and participation of 55% of the voters. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Luis Gerardo Cabrera Morales, with 400,012 votes. Amazonas State, with a transmission of 69% and participation of 53%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Miguel Leonardo Catabrero Rodríguez, with 32,411. The Tamacuro State, with a participation of 62.6%. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Loa del Valle Rena, with 51,000 votes. Guaira State, with a transmission of 96.6% and the participation of 57.1% of voters. The United Socialist Party of Venezuela, José Alejandro Terán, 106,527 votes, equals to 90.5% of the votes. At this moment, the National Board of the elections authorizes the 25 regional boards to initiate the process of taking the posts as they are irreversible. We have been living through a new sovereign day, an expression of civism and democracy of Venezuela. The people spoke with their votes, and the National Electoral Council, as guarantor to the right of elections, have fulfilled the responsibility of the constitutional mandate. So from this time being, corresponds to all political actors and citizens to act with responsibility, serenity, and profound respect with the results that have expressed the people of Venezuela. From the electoral power, we will continue working for the strengthening of our institution and for the democracy. For a democracy with participation and guarantees and facts. Thank you, Venezuela. Thank you for trusting democracy, for participating and deciding. Good evening. Big warm hugs to the people of Venezuela.
Bien, ha sido el balance de las autoridades cuando dan a conocer los resultados.
We were live to Venezuela, listening to the authorities of the National Electoral Council during the first bulletin of these regional and legislative elections, with 99.01% of the votes counted, and with a participation of over 42% of the electoral roll. The Great Patriotic Poll received over 4 million votes in the legislative election. Let's keep listening to these statements of the authorities.
So the workers of the National Electoral Council, and on behalf of the authorities, we congratulate the brave people of Venezuela and to all that have been victorious in this electoral process of Venezuela. Once again, we thank you. We thank the whole Venezuela for their behavior of civism and for contributing to peace, not only of Venezuela but also of many spaces of the 5 continents. Good evening to all Venezuelan people, and congratulations to all.